Hello everybody, in this video we are going to continue the conversation about how we solve a quadratic equation. And so in some of the previous videos we've talked about how to factor by grouping when we have an expression, but we are focused on finding x-intercepts of a quadratic function by factoring. So in order for us to be able to do that, we have to have a zero at the end. So the first thing I want to point out is we can't go through our steps like we normally do because there's not a zero right there. So I'm going to go back to some of our previous problems. We were able to take both of these parentheses, set them equal to 0, and solve to find two x-intercepts because there was a 0 here. We were able to factor and then factor by grouping, set both of our parentheses equal to 0, and find both of our x-intercepts because there was a 0 here. And notice that this example right here does not have a 0 there. So how do we create a 0? Well, we need to take the -2n and move it back to the left side of the equation. The only way we can move something from one side to the other is to change their sign. Now, I am going to point out that there is a typo here because you have these x's and that's an n. So that's on me. This was supposed to be an x. So if you guys can change this to an x and pretend that it is an x, then we can continue to work on this problem. So because this is an x and this is an x, we need to make sure to add this to both sides, but add it to its like term. So we know that this becomes 0, but over here we have 5x squared. 37 plus 2 is 39, minus 8 equals 0. All right, so we do now have our 0, so we can go through all of the steps. So that's what we're going to do together. So I'm going to label this A, B, C. I'm going to create my own x. And then I'm going to multiply A and C. So I'm going to write that up here. So A is 5, C is 8. And remember, I'm using this minus to remind us that we'll be looking for numbers that multiply to be 49. All right, 5 times 8 is 40. I'm going to put a plus 39x here. And I'm going to remind you that if you don't want to find the lists and find all the factors of 40, your calculator can do it for you. So if you forgot how to do that, let me grab my calculator and show you this nice little trick, especially when we're dealing with really big numbers. I know 40 is not big, but if we were dealing with bigger numbers, you would definitely want to use this trick. All right, so I do want to remind you I'm using a TI Nspire. So I'm going to start off in my home screen. I'm going to go to Graph, so I'm going to hit B. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is hit the tab. Tab is right here, and it's kind of hard to see. And you want to go ahead and type this into F1. So if you scroll up or down, see how it changes from F1 or F2 to F3. I'm going to go to F1. And I'm going to delete what's already here. And I want to remind you we're looking for the factors of 40. So you want to start with 40 and you want to divide 40 by x. So type in 40 divided by and then use the x at the bottom and then hit enter. All right, so we're not worried about the graph. We need a list of factors. So that's the only place you're going to be able to find that is on the table. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit control. I'm going to show you what control is down here. You're going to hit control and the letter T. Control T. Notice that this table pops up. So ignore this, ignore that, because these are the factors that we're looking at. Anything that has a whole number for y is going to be the numbers we're going to look at. So this is 1 and 40, 2 and 20. We're going to skip 3 because notice that 3 doesn't have a whole number, and then we have 4 and 10. Now keep in mind what we're looking for. We're looking for numbers that subtract to be 39. And most people will skip the very first one. 1 minus 40 is 39. So don't waste your time going down this table because it was the very first one. So I'm going to go back up. Ooh. All right, I'm just going to hit exit there and go back up to the top. So start with the first one. So this is what we're looking for. So remember, we're subtracting, so you're going to need a positive and a negative. So I'm going to put positive 1x. Oh, I don't know why I did that. 40x. So actually the 40 is supposed to be positive, and so that means the 1 is supposed to be negative. Because that's the only way we're going to get a positive 39. So it's not enough to just get the 39. We need a positive 39. And the only way to get it is to use a positive 40 and a negative 1. All right, now that we have what we're looking for, let's go ahead and create 4 terms here. So I'm going to write 5x squared minus 1x positive 40x minus 8 equal 0. All right. And then let's factor. 5 and 1 is 1. X. 5 divided by 1 is 5. X. Negative 1 divided by 1, negative 1, no x. That's a plus sign, so I'm going to bring it down. 40 and 8. 8 divides into both of those. Remember, you can use your calculator. So 8, no x. 40 divided by 8 is 5. Bring down the x. Negative 8 divided by positive 8 is a negative 1. Okay, we can see that we did this correctly because the parentheses are the same. So we're going to say 5x minus 1, x plus 8. No GCDs here because nothing divides into 5 and 1, and nothing will divide into 1 and 8. So now we're just ready to solve, so we're going to set these equal. 5x minus 1 equals 0. X plus 8 equals 0. Let's add 1. And we get 5x equals 1. And then I'm going to divide by 5. So we get x is equal to 1 over 5. But I like to use decimals. So I'm going to go back to my, and just do 1 divided by 5. And it gives me 0.2. 0.2 is really small, so it's going to be really close to 0. And then this one's easy to do. All we have to do is subtract 8 and get x is equal to negative 8. So our x-intercepts are going to be 0.2 and negative 8. Oh, like that. All right, so 0.2 is on the positive side, but it's right next to the 0. Negative 8 is going to be somewhere over here. So remember, our graphs are U-shaped graphs. So because this one's positive in the front, it's going to just do this. Like that. And so when we solve an equation and we set it equal to 0, it basically tells us our x-intercept. And that's it. So the only takeaway I want you guys to take from this is that if you don't have a 0 here, it's your job to change the sign and move it over. So there is a 0 there. Once you got a 0 there, you can do all the steps that we've been doing for these kinds of problems. Now these problems are long, they do take time, and it is a process. So just make sure that you take it one step at a time. All right, I hope that these videos and these examples have helped you understand this process a little bit better. I'll see you guys in the next videos.